So good evening. I'm very grateful to be able to have this opportunity to talk about my experience, um, particularly how fatigue has affected me and how the exercise and oncology trial run by David Bartlett and Ellie Miles that I've been through. In very simple terms, this trial has changed my life for the better, and for that I would express my thanks to David and Ellie and the team at Surrey University. So let me describe my journey. The background. So I was diagnosed with CLL in May 2017, and following a period of watch and wait, I started treatment with ibrutinib in June 2020. And from the outset, I tolerated the ibrutinib well. It had the beneficial effect on my CLL, and long may that continue. I'm very grateful. So in December of that year, further complicated, I underwent surgery for a lesion on my kidney, or a lump tumor, a growth on my kidney. I came into January 2021 with the effect of several years of CLL, the ibrutinib, which I was in one sense still getting used to, and the kidney surgery. This meant that I was physically very weak. I had little stamina. I found the cold difficult, and I was susceptible to illnesses, and it would take me more time to recover. My wife called me old flaky. She does assure me that it was and still is a term of affection. Um, to put this in perspective, before CLL, I had been quite active. I'll just put up if I can share my screen so you're not looking at my face the whole time. There we go. We used to go on cycling holidays. We took our tandem to Italy one year and cycled from Pisa to Naples in the space of, I think it was just over 2 weeks. And in the 2010s, I would go cycling. So I used to go cycling with Jonathan. He was 15 years younger than me, and he did have me. He had the edge on me. He could go faster than me, but I reckon I could inflict pain on him when we were cycling up the hills in the Cotswolds. In 2013, we did a route in Scotland called the Five Ferries. So this is a journey where you cross from the mainland to Arran to Kintyre to Bute, and the whole journey is 5 ferry trips. It's 80 miles, and the plan is to complete this in a day, which we did, taking advantage of those long summer days in Scotland. Dare I say, that's me in the middle. Jonathan's on the right, another cycling friend, Graham, on the left, and you got Aaron in the background. And it was quite a wet day, but it was a good time. Sorry. In the years 2021, after I started my treatment, I tried to build up my stamina to cycle even 15 miles. And after a few weeks of effort, I would succumb to an illness, lose my momentum, and I'd find myself back at square one. It's very discouraging. It was this recurring pattern of building up exercise, finding myself ill, taking a few days off, and just finding out I made no progress at all. I was quite reconciled to the fact that this was going to be my condition given the CLL. So then in December 2023, there was the webinar, which has just been mentioned, organized by CLL Support, with 2 talks by David Bartlett and Ellie Miles. And I watched the videos of these talks several times, and the message resonated strongly with what I had experienced. With what I was experiencing. And looking back at my notes, I took notes, and I look back at the notes, and I observed several things. The effects of CLL are increased fatigue, low reserves, which equated to an increased susceptibility to illness, and a tendency to physical inactivity. Well, I could tick all those boxes. The next point, they explained that exercise stresses the body in the same way as when it's fighting off an infection. And this has 2 implications. If the exercise and the infection coincide and the body reserves are low, then there's a good likelihood that a person's going to become ill. And that was something I was experiencing. And then on the other hand, what they were offering was a program of they were proposing a program of exercise which could be used to build up the body reserves and make people more resilient to fight off infection, and also just be more able to get on with things. The third thing that I noticed, they were running an exercise and oncology trial at Surrey University to evaluate how exercise could be used to increase resilience in people who had CLL. So I hope my recollection of the talks is accurate. Ellie, David, you got the opportunity to correct me, and please excuse me if I'm wrong. Um, but there was enough in those talks to make me say I wanted to get onto the trial. I mean, in one sense, the potential upside of a benefit in resilience and activity, the downside, well, I couldn't see any downsides. I mean, it's not as if I was asking to sort of embark on some test with unproven pharmaceuticals. This was just exercise. Anyway, I'm very grateful that they accepted me on the trial. So the trial started with 2 evaluation sessions at Surrey University to measure my abilities and to effectively start the exercise regime. Given the journey time, I live in the Cotswolds, and the journey time to Guildford, I used a local gym whilst Ellie and her colleagues monitored my performance using a Polar watch and having access to the account which logged all the data. Now, I'm someone who's never really used a gym before, and it was a little bit intimidating. However, I must say that everyone at Surrey was very supportive, completely non-judgmental. I can only give them the highest praise for that. So the sessions involved weights and an exercise bike. It could have been a running machine, but I opted for my comfort zone, which was cycling. And as they monitored my performance, they would increase the weights or the intensity of the cardio sessions on the bike. I have to say, they did work me harder than I thought, but all the time it was within my capacity because I did not succumb to any illness. And even here, there was an observation. I can remember at one point, halfway through the program, I was starting to suffer from a sore throat. And all I did was reduce the intensity of the exercise. And that I managed to stay well. And effectively, dodging an illness like that, it was the first time I'd experienced that in many years. And at the same time, increasing my strength and fitness. I hadn't seen that in several years. So many people, including medics, have said to me at the time, well, of course, exercise is good for you. But the difference, the exercise schedule that I was given was calibrated to my capabilities, and the intensity was increased carefully whilst monitoring where I was up to. So what have been the results? Well, without a doubt, I'm more active. In August of 2023, before the exercise program, I went on a fishing holiday in Ireland. Now, to the layman, fishing might sound as if it's a sort of as energetic as sitting in an armchair and watching snooker. But I can assure you that working down a riverbank in Ireland, casting continuously from a boat in the rain can involve some effort. I do assure you, it is quite fun. I'm not making it sound fun, but it is fun. In 2023, I had to take a day out to rest. So this was before my exercise schedule. In 2024, I repeated this holiday. So this was midway through the exercise schedule. I was far more able to enjoy myself, and also I did not have to take a rest day during the week's fishing. And on more mundane tasks, I've been far more able to do things around the house. I no longer get a free pass when it's time to put the bins out or anything, or rake the leaves. And fair dues, as my wife has taken the brunt of all these efforts in the last few years. And I would say that I'm more resilient to minor health issues. Either they do not trouble me, or the recovery is quicker and the extent of the illness is lessened. And there's a final benefit. I'm not sure if this is connected to it. I used to suffer a lot of cramp, and it would get me out of bed at night. And these occurrences are very much lessened. So can't be certain if this is due to the exercise program, but I'm perfectly happy to notch it up as another success for everyone down at Surrey. Anyway, what are my ambitions for the future? Well, I'm determined to keep up the work at the gym. It's been difficult through December. I did suffer from some minor illnesses, but and having finished the trial, I now have to manage the tempo of the exercise without the expert support and supervision of Ellie and her colleagues. I've also set myself another challenge, which is to repeat the 5 ferries cycle trip around Kintyre. I had thought my days of cycling were over and finished, but right now I want to see if I can build up my stamina and strength to repeat this cycle ride. This time I'll have a different but good support crew. It will be my daughter, who now races on a bike. So you've got her on a hill climb on the left, and my son, who this summer was cycling in Vietnam from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City. So they promised to join me. I think they'll be doing laps around me whilst they get bored with my slow pace. But if I can manage the 80 miles in one day, then it'll be a great achievement. And I have to give my thanks to Ellie and David for all their support. So, final observations. If I was giving advice to my younger self in the early days of my diagnosis, it would be to try and find an exercise program, and even better, with expert monitoring to calibrate the exercise to my abilities. And if that monitoring is not available, then start exercising at a low level and carefully build up the activity. And the big question, well, can others benefit in the same way that I have? And if so, in what way can this support become available? So thank you for listening. I hope that's been helpful, and I'll pass you back to John.